Hello guys, many things has happened during this week, and when I was ready to record a video, Joe Biden decided to withdraw from the presidential race. I always avoid commenting on the foreign politics on the channel because I'm a professional Ukrainian and I'm here to speak about my country. But I'm also always honest with you. And of course, everyone in Ukraine is following very carefully the presidential race in the United States. And the only thing I can tell you openly, beautiful people of America, whether you want to be leaders of the world or not, many of us treat you like that. And being a big, rich, modern country, I hope you will continue to be a leader and not isolate yourself, because it's just like a gift, like a talent that you have. You have to use it for the benefit of many other smaller democracies around the world. It's not about dependency, it's not about problems, but actually, two of the world wars started when the United States decided not to interfere, and then you had to interfere. Because united, we are definitely stronger. Coming back to my part of the world, Ukrainian drones were working really well on the territory of the Russian Federation. They paid a very expensive visit to Milerovo Air Base in Rostov region, which is a home to evil Russian jets. There were explosions in Lipetsk, Bryansk, Kursk, Novorossiysk, protests in Krasnodar because of electricity outages, and oh my god, not caused by Ukrainian shelling but by Russian negligence and extremely old electricity grid. There were also rumors about the next peace summit, and I know Zelensky wants to have it before the elections in the United States. But also, honestly, I was dissatisfied reading Boris Johnson's article about his vision after the meeting with candidate Trump. And it definitely goes against my vision of Boris Johnson, but I actually know many of you warned. And also, this was a week when we've learned that Russia is close to running out of Soviet weapons. And actually, if China and North Korea did not support it, it would be much easier for all of us. So let's talk about all of these important events from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of the brutal Russian invasion. So if you're new to the channel, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight against Russian propaganda and fake news. And my longtime friends, check your subscription status and hit notification button. So, Joe Biden, I know that it is difficult to be a leader. It is difficult to be responsible for many things, but I also think that some of us as people, some of us as countries have this, just like have this as an atmosphere, as a vibe, as a gift. And honestly, many countries, the European Union, for example, we are all stronger when we are united. That's why we all follow the presidential race, and no, we don't want the United States to stay away from everything happening in the world. And I actually think it is impossible because we are all so connected. We are all so dependent on each other, and especially seeing how quickly China, North Korea, Russia, Iran unite, I think it should inspire us to stay even stronger than ever before. I don't know, is the correct decision of Joe Biden? Is this a timely decision? Who is going to be the next candidate? Will it be Kamala Harris, or do you see someone else? Will it change something in the race, in the results? I'd be happy to read your opinions in the comments below. I will definitely read them very attentively to shape my own vision and understanding, but of course, only if you want. But one thing that I can say for sure, this is a proof that democracy works in the United States, because obviously Joe Biden wanted to run this presidential campaign. It was visible But because of the public opinion, because of the party, because of some people to whom he listened, he decided to withdraw. This is very, very democratic from my point of view. And I'm not talking about the political party, I'm talking about the attitudes. I cannot imagine something similar happening in Russia or in China or in North Korea. And this is what makes these countries ill. This is what makes these countries so dangerous, because they have their dictators until they ruin these societies and make them worse. And when we have a leader of the most influential country in the world, who just because his people, his surrounding advise him, follows this advice, this is definitely a very symbolic gesture. And I'm sure Putin is just like shocked. He would never do it like that. But that's why Putin is hiding in bunkers, and I'm sure he will be burning in hell. And potentially Russian jets were burning in Milerovo, which is an air base. Luckily, we have satellite images, and the fire was really big, so definitely various objects of infrastructure and potentially Su-30, Su-34 that are located there were set on fire. Same as lots of plants and oil depots in Lipetsk, Kursk, Bryansk. Honestly, sometimes I already need a list of these Russian cities and regions in which active war is happening. And in Krasnodar, people went out on protest. This is another Russian region where they have blackouts that last more than a day. Oh my God. And this is without attacks on their infrastructure. It's just because Russian electricity grid is that poor. Honestly, they will dismantle, they will collapse by themselves. Sometimes I do have this feeling they don't even need our missiles or our drones, just like keep them and they will dismantle. The thing that the process can be quite long and we have to speed that up a bit. If you agree with that and you're new to the channel, please subscribe and help us spread more information about Ukraine, our fight. And also that's the best way to demonstrate your solidarity and share more videos on different social platforms that you're present on. And also there are lots of reports and articles in international media about Russian weapons. They had serious troubles with bearings that they've bought for the supply and maintenance of their ill jets. And you know that Russia is extremely corrupt and they were buying them, I don't know where from. And it turns out that these bearings are not working and they had to stop flying like 5-6 ills. But in general, Russia is running out of old Soviet crap. Actually, since the times of the Cold War, they had a huge storage of ammunition, tanks, armored vehicles, but with the full-scale war, unfortunately, almost 3 years of it already, they have destroyed. We have destroyed a lot. And they have serious troubles with tanks and armored vehicles. For the inside audience, they like spreading BS, that they produce a lot of tanks, that Russian military economy is booming, when in reality, for example, according to the reports of the Russian Ministry of Defense, they got 1,000 new tanks last year, when actually out of this 1,000 new tanks last year, only 90 were produced and the rest were taken out of various warehouses where they stayed since the times of the Cold War. Actually, many of these tanks and vehicles were stored in the open air, so you can imagine how rusty, rotten they are, just as Russian army. Maybe some were taken even from the museums. But unfortunately, we still have North Korea, we still have China supplying Russia like crazy with all of their crap. You know that even evil Russian military vloggers report that the quality of, for example, North Korean missiles are really low and very often they like explode in the air already on the territory of Russia, which is like good from my Ukrainian perspective. We know that Russia loves bombing itself. It has dropped more than 100 bombs already on the frontline territories on its own side. And this week, 3 drones, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even 4 drones, accidentally flew to Belarus, but Belarus accepts everything after its silent annexation by Russia. And also, today I was angry after reading the column of Boris Johnson, because in Ukraine, you know, I know he's not super popular in Britain, but in Ukraine, especially his support during the very first months of this war were quite decisive. It was very unusual to see such a huge shift. And actually, many of the points of this plan that he shared are very unrealistic. And if I could have a conversation with him, like, I'm sure I can ask questions he doesn't have answers to. Because neither side, no Ukraine, nor Russia, no even Russia, would love the things he offers. And one of the things that definitely makes me super angry is the fact that after some things done, Russia and Putin will return to be G8 participant. After Bucha, after Mariupol, after killing thousands of Ukrainians, shelling hospitals, like, you imagine Putin sitting at one table with the global leaders. I hope there are some leaders left in this world who would never agree to sit at one table with Putin. It's unacceptable. Let me know, would you like a separate video on that? Because there are lots of smart Ukrainian experts, politicians who express their opinion. And I was actually like, say, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. And I'm sure no one in Ukraine will accept that. But most importantly, let's be honest, Putin will not accept this plan too, because they offer him the same territories he had before the start of the full-scale invasion. And why would he agree? And what are the way to stop him? What are the way to prevent him from further attacks? Nothing planned. Another idea that, like, American soldiers will return back from Europe to America and Ukrainians will substitute them because we're so strong. But guys, it's not about strengths. It's about American military bases in Europe, and America is a nuclear country, and that's the presence of another nuclear country in Europe protecting peace and security. And if we substitute them, we don't have nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, we have given them up. Budapest Memorandum, you remember, people promised to protect us, but something went wrong. So it's not a plan at all. Let me know, what do you think in general about this column of Boris Johnson, if you're coming from this part of the world. If you're free to share your opinion on Joe Biden's withdrawal and who's going to be the next candidate, will it change something tremendously in the race? I'll be happy to read that. And I hope that sometime soon you will be able to come to Ukraine and see my beautiful country, my part of the world. Like it, criticize it, but feel it. That's what's important. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming sponsors and patrons of the channel. This helps me film and write more. Join me on Instagram, X, Threads, and Discord. I'm active on all of this social media, and please like, share videos on the social platforms that you are present on. This is super important, taking into account that media often shape opinion in the way rich people, I'm sorry, or politicians want, but not according to the reality. And recently I witnessed more and more of that happening, even in countries with long history of democracy. And join all of this social media to get updates from me too. Check our merch shop with lots of items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. And please accept my huge gratitude as a Ukrainian, that you follow updates from my country, that you care about us, and that you stand with us against this evil together. We are definitely stronger together. Slava Ukraini!